Welcome to Hamster Hearthstone. Hello guys, how you doing? So in this video I would like to talk about the Whispers of the Old Gods dragons and the current meta. So first let's take a look at the dragons that we got. Old Gods dragon. Okay. That's not actually a dragon, it's a beast. It just has dragon in the name. And there is one more, which is the Deathwing. So basically we got 3 dragons in this expansion. And one notable thing about these dragons is that they're just regular minions. So for instance, this guy. Okay, so you have, let's say, 5 cards in hand when you play it. So it's a 6/4 for 4. It's actually a good card, right? But it only has 4 attack, so with some classes even a 2-drop can deal with it, or a 3-drop for sure. And if it dies, it just stays dead, right? So in this scenario, I would even say that the opposite minion, the Twilight Drake, would be better, because 4 attack is enough, and then getting more health would be preferable. So basically we can ignore this guy. This guy will not see much play, I think. Now this guy is interesting. If you manage to keep it alive for long enough, it can basically grow out of control. Like on the third turn it's gonna be like an 8/8 and then 16. But that's too optimistic. I guess over 3 or 4 turns the opponent will have means to deal with it. And 8 health is fine, but 6 mana, like I would prefer this to be like, I don't know, 4 mana to 6. Then it would be actually playable, I think. Because with 6 mana, you just die against the aggressive decks before you even get to play it. And again, once it's dead, it stays dead. So it's just a regular minion that you use once, you trade, and it's gone. And Deathwing, I guess it's a very cool effect that it has, but it's a 10 mana card, so if you plan to include this, you will not be playing a regular dragon deck. You will be playing some sort of combo deck. You will be like stalling the game, setting up scenarios, and then playing it. So it's not even worth it to count this as a dragon in the current meta, unless you're playing a deck around it. So in the regular dragon deck, there is almost no point playing it. So yeah, those are all 3 that we got, and as I mentioned, all 2 of them, which are somewhat playable early on in the game, they are just regular minions that trade and die. And now let's take a look at the current meta and what other cards have been introduced in Whispers of the Old Gods. So one thing is Sithun. First of all these cards are really nice on their own. Like, if you play this guy, it's probably it requires 2 hits, right? And it has 4 attack, so it has a high chance of giving you a 2-for-1. So it's a really nice card on its own already. And it has this additional effect that it buffs Sithun. Same with this guy, like it deals 2 damage, 3 mana to 1, it's already really good, and it also buffs Sithun. And the others are just nice. I mean, those are really good stats for the mana that you're paying. The Twin Emperor is just OP. If you don't have this card and you play a Sithun deck, I don't know what you're doing. I mean, it makes sense to play Sithun decks right now, and if you do, this is an auto-include because it's so overpowered. Doomcaller brings Sithun back, which is insane, and even buffs it too. And wait, where is Sithun? What's going on? Oh, we're in crafting, I see. Yeah. And Sithun itself. Once you... So, let's now consider, let's say you play in a regular game, you trade with minions 1 for 1 and you stall the game. No one wins, no one loses, everything is balanced, and then at some point you draw Sithun and it's like a 18-18 or 20-20. The moment you drop it, it has an immediate effect on the board. It basically annihilates whatever the opponent had left and deals a substantial amount of damage to him. So the next turn will be, the opponent will be busy with removing it, and if it's somewhat of a late game, let's say you are already even hitting fatigue, dropping Doomcaller next turn and then drawing Sithun and repeating the procedure is just so overpowered. Like you pay 10 mana, but you get an insane value. You get like 30 mana at least worth of effect. So that's the difference. With the dragons, you just play them, you trade with them, they die, and they're gone. And with Sithun cards, you play them, they trade, everything is fine, but then at the end of the game, you get an insane value additionally. And that's really important, because a dragon deck is a control deck, basically, and the Sithun deck is a control deck. And if a Sithun deck uses the resources properly, and, like, let's say, draws somewhat properly, and if the same is true for the dragon deck, the Sithun deck will always win, because there is way more value in the Sithun deck. The same is true for the second Old God, which you already know what I'm gonna say here, I guess. N'Zoth, right? So this guy brings back Death Rattle minions. What kind of Death Rattle minions are we talking? Basically, they're all in this deck, but let's search for them. Right, so this guy is just super big for the mana that you spend. This is a 1/1, but it spawns a 5/5, so basically it's a decent card to play on its own, again, and this one also. It trades well, but then it gets brought back all together in one turn once you play N'Zoth, right? This one I don't play, it's not even that good, but there is not even a need to do that, because okay, where's Sylvanas? Why don't we? Ah, Sylvanas is not in Old Gods. We're just searching Old Gods right now. Let's look at Standard instead. So you could run like a Harvest Golem. You could run lots of things. Here, Sylvanas, Cairn, even a Chilmaw. Even if you're not playing a dragon deck. Let's say you have 2 dragons. Well, okay, Chilmaw is kind of sucky, but I mean, you get the point. You get a lot of value at once in the end game after you use the resources once already to trade just in a regular game. And again, that's also the reason why I would argue that a N'Zoth deck would almost always win against a dragon deck, a pure dragon deck, because if you don't save up as a dragon priest, if you don't save up the board clears to deal with the N'Zoth turn, you just get run over, and that's the problem. So that's why I don't think that dragons in the current meta are viable anymore. Not really. I guess there are some people who try to make it work, and maybe there is a list that somewhat decently like integrates into the meta, and I would expect that a dragon priest would also run one of those 2 gods just to make up for the value lost. Yeah, but otherwise, I think it's way more more powerful to play 2 Old Gods right now, because you get you get the extra value from both of them, and yeah, that's why I'm running this deck right here. It does well against other control decks. I think after learning the meta, learning the tricks that opponents have up their sleeves, like let's say the rogue control that aims to kill a huge minion to buff a Sithun from 0 to infinity, basically. So after learning these sort of things and learning to play around them, one will be able to run a double Old God deck really decently against any control deck. The only problem really is aggro decks. So if the draw is somewhat bad, any aggro deck will win. But yeah, you can't really do much against that. There is some tuning to be done. I guess some cards will be changed a little bit to adjust just the right ratio to deal with aggro decks as well as control decks with an equal and highest amount of percentage. But otherwise, I think this is the way to go. So this season at least, I'm gonna try this deck and see how far I can take it. And yeah, let me know what you guys think. Maybe you have suggestions on how to improve this deck, or maybe you have a different deck in mind that also is great, which I have not considered. Alright, so yeah, let me know what you think, and see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Please rate, comment, and subscribe, and never forget, you are awesome.